I think that self-reported attribution is just so vital for marketing teams to enable nowadays. If some of you don't know what self-reported attribution is, it's a chance to let your prospects actually tell you how they heard about you or what compelled them to reach out to you. Most of the time, you find this as a field on a contact form, but it could be in other places as well. It could be like post purchase or after they sign up for a trial or whatnot. It's so crucial nowadays because marketing teams are now spending a ton of their time and effort in creating content that truly engages their buyer. And a lot of the times, it's just so hard to track that. So companies are investing in podcasts. They're putting content on the community. They're engaging their customers and putting incentives to, be advocates for them, like advocacies. There's also LinkedIn content. I'm doing it right now that can engage your buyer. And that's not what shows up on a form. Many times you go and look at the data that you get from a form fill, and it's all what you're trying to deduce. And most of the time, that's from UTMs. You can see, okay, did this come from paid social or paid search or organic social, organic search, or from a referring source, at least for online? Of course, you can track things back from events and so forth. But when you talk about people who are coming through inbound, there's normally also just a high level of reported as direct traffic or organic. And to me, organic search kind of seems like, I don't know, in a direct, like a just catch all, but it's really not giving you the information of what's probably truly happening. Most people just don't just, Google your company. They probably heard you word of mouth or saw something and then they went, oh, I'm going to go search for CS2. And then they would go to your, website. Also, with Google and ChatGPT now kind of incentivizing people to not even go to someone's website when doing a lot of the research or ingesting information. Most of the time, if someone's actually ready and wants to convert on the website, it's going to look like it's direct. So I think that looking at CS2 and what we have is a really good example of this and why it's so crucial. So this is top of mind for me because literally today we've had two people come through inbound and we have a field on our forms that says, how did you hear about us? And it's a free form, like text field. People can type in whatever they want. We don't do drop downs mainly because that can create bias. So if you're trying to do a drop down, they'll probably choose the first option, or it might all look like it's coming from Google or whatnot, or other, which doesn't give you enough information. So we leave it free form. And the results are usually pretty interesting. But most recently, if we look at our conversions in the last year, we've had a lot that say LinkedIn or your podcast. And today is most interesting because two of our inbounds in one day, and we're a bespoke agency. We don't get a ton of inbounds per day, but both of them said our podcast and being longtime listeners. One of them actually gave credit back to a session that we did at a conference as well as our podcast. Such valuable information. And I know marketers are like, how am I going to show this to my team? Like, how does this show up on my dashboard? I'm trying to prove these channels are working. And that's where I think things are getting in the way of us, doing the right thing with our marketing. We're just always trying to prove, instead of just putting out good content, putting out good marketing and letting the inbound requests come through and then using the data. But I will say that you could operationalize the data. And this is something that you can do within like a marketing automation platform, and at least for the data if you're getting it via form. So when I look at the data, I see a lot of consistencies. People will write keywords that I would be interested in looking for. So LinkedIn being one of them, YouTube, podcast, or even our name of our podcast, or even someone else's podcast that we've been on. And you can take those values. So if the field form contains that value, then you can stamp something on that record that's more standardized in a field. And similar to like a UTM, what you can do is update just another field that's like a UTM that you can then put on the campaign member. We always suggest using and stamping your UTMs on the campaign members so you can see what source and what medium by offer, and then being able to do reporting like lifecycle reporting or actually see multi-touch attribution based on those levers. So the interesting thing is if you ran a report of the contact us and you just looked at all the members and looked at the UTMs versus the self-reported attribution value, it'd be interesting to see how much of it that was, tied to direct traffic or organic search is actually from other sources or just more specific. Word of mouth might come up, a customer, your podcast, and so forth. And that's what we see from ourselves. Like it's very rare that we have people are just like from search and that's what they say, although we do get a few of those. It might be also interesting just for your paid ads to know how many of those people were actually probably already looking or engaging with your content, but then finally converted on one of your ads, which is usually what happens. It's very rare you just capture someone with an ad without them really understanding or knowing your brand first. So yeah, take the values, do some standardization like within your marketing automation platform, maybe put that into a field, stamp that on the campaign member. That's an easy way to start using the data. You could also have it tied to the lead and contact record if you want to tie that to a life cycle or attach it to an opportunity. You could also do that. So think about what's going to best help you use the data, make good decisions with your marketing, and then go from there. I love it. I think it's great for us to really help us understand what's really working at CS2. And I think other marketers, especially now when they're trying to really figure out what content channels and types of stuff are working and to double down on them to do it. So let me know what you think. Do you use self-report attribution? Do you not like it? I want to know why.